Well, we moved to Paradise about 12 years ago with our 3 boys, and moved there in February, and that summer in June, and then I think again in July, we were evacuated twice. That was the summer of the lightning strike fires. So pretty much immediately from my very first experiences of summer in Northern California and Paradise had to do with evacuating for wildfires. In the year prior to the campfire, actually spent quite a bit of time preparing, finally, getting around after 12 years to preparing our evacuation kit and organizing, the boxes of memorabilia to bring and a list of, top 5 things to grab on your way out the door. So I was actually pretty prepared this time around. I mean,
there's 5 of us in the family.
5,
2 70-pound dogs,
and
cats.
I was the only one awake when the fire broke out. It was, it was pretty early in the morning. It was still dark. And I usually get up in the morning and it's like the quiet time of the day. I make coffee and read my book, and I'm sitting there, and I saw somebody reported it on Facebook. Here we go again. There's a fire broke out in Polga. And I just kept, kind of checking in, paying attention to it, because it started to smell smoke. And it was still dark. You couldn't see that it was smoky, but you could smell it. So Dave and I were starting to pack stuff up around the house, but really slow. I mean, I was still sitting there. I actually took time to, tweeze my eyebrows and, just weird things. Like, why would I have done that with 5 minutes of my time on that morning? But I did. So I was looking good on my way out the door. And
we're located at about Pearson and South Libby, just a little further down. Miles' school would be about at the Taco Bell out on Clark, to give you an idea from where we drove up. By the time I got there, I was turning around to come back and looking north, for even further away from a house, and a block in or two, a home was already on fire in the center. So now it's going to start pooling out because there's fallout occurring.
Right.
And I raced home and said, whoa, and they said, well, now you've got to go back and get Miles now. And by the time I'd gotten Miles and came back, that was the time to pack up all those boxes. It was not, and at that point, we're standing in front of the house, 3 cars, pretty much ready to just drive away from everything. And that's when the fallout started dropping, and you could hear the propane tanks just popping closer and closer, like the tide coming in,
Although we didn't, it wasn't until the call from, first the high school called and said, there's a report in the area, but school's on. It's fine. We're still holding class. And it was so close to our house, so last minute we drove him to school. And then 15 minutes go by, and then they called back and said, we're evacuating, the town is evacuating, come and pick your child up. And that was the moment that the heart just, it was like, oh, okay, we're serious now. The heart is just in your throat, pounding. And the last thing we tried to do, we had 2 cats, tried to grab them, couldn't get the one cat. He was just being too feisty to get in the box, and I said, that's it, open the door and let him out. It's not time to play with this. And we left. I remember taking a photo of the sky. Never even I locked the door. I know I locked the door and closed the windows, but never said goodbye to anything. And by the time we got up to the top of our road, now the propane tanks were like popcorn going off in the microwave when you do a bag of popcorn. And the street in front of us was dead stop traffic. And these are small side streets, not even on one of the main evacuation routes yet. And I remember Dave, because our 3 cars were lined up to turn onto the road, and Dave said, I think I can go back and get some more stuff. And I'm like, no, get in line. We're gone. We're out of here.
And I believe they said the fire was moving 6 seconds a football field, something like that. So 300 feet were about a football field. So within the count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, everything we owned is gone. Right there. We found Cosmo she had carved out trails and found him in full sprint on the trail, like arms out. So he was running away from it. And we found other animals, and most of them are heading in a direction trying to get away.
I think the best that we can do now is try to look at that and say, okay, that was a problem. Let's not make it that way again. I mean, you're not going to be 100% safe, no matter what we build the houses out of, how we plan the roads, what sirens, what kind of evacuation routes there are. There's still always going to be the danger that this happens again. This is maybe where Paradise has a chance to be a model, or find some innovations, and how can we best be prepared for this and limit the damage? Because as much as we all may have loved Paradise or whatever town you want to talk about, for the reasons that each of us had, it can't be the same again, because it just can't. This will happen again, so.